Alright, so I was recently hearing about this 84-year-old man shooting a teen who was at his door. Of course, the left is crying racism. So anyway, here we are at the InfoWars. Affidavit says Andrew Lester was scared to death by teen trying to pull open his door at night. The 84-year-old man who faces the rest of his life in prison for injuring a black teenager during what he thought was a home invasion told police he was scared to death during the incident. Lester told police that Ralph Yarl was pulling on the exterior door of his Kansas City, Missouri home in an apparent attempt to break in, prompting him to grab his revolver and shoot the teenager who is expecting to make a full recovery. The elderly man told cops he believed he was protecting himself from a physical confrontation and could not take the chance of the large male coming in to his house where he lived, all alone according to the police affidavit. However, following White House involvement, yeah, of course the White House gets involved. Joe Biden, yep, of course, met with the injured teen's family. BLM protesters and concentrated media outrage campaign. Lester's chances of a fair trial are basically non-existent. Yep, because everybody's crying race. So yeah, the narrative has been set. Jarl was merely ringing the wrong doorbell, and Lester's reaction was extreme and possibly driven by racism. Lester stated he opened the interior door to his home and saw a black male approximately 6 feet tall pulling on the exterior storm door handle. The police's affidavit said. He stated he believed someone was attempting to break into his home and shot twice within a few seconds of opening the door. Lester stated the male ran away and he immediately used his phone to call 911. The statement continued. Lester stated he had never seen the male before. He also stated no words were exchanged during the incident and the male had not said anything prior to pulling on the door handle. Lester stated it was the last thing he wanted to do, but he was scared to death due to the male's size and Lester's age, 84, and inability to defend himself. Because you know what they say about guns, right? They're the great equalizer. So in this article here, large mobs have already descended on his home and have already vandalized it. These protesters didn't even allow the justice system to do its job. They've already judged this elderly man as guilty and a racist, thanks to the media. In the affidavit, it says Lester was visibly upset and repeatedly expressed concern for the victim. So, is he racist? Maybe. I don't think so. I think he was just an 84-year-old man who was afraid for his life. Here's why I think he's not a racist. He was just afraid for his life. What do 84-year-old people normally do? Well, this guy says he lives alone in his home. So what does he do? He probably sits in his house and watches TV. And what do elderly people watch on the TV? Well, two things. One, the Weather Network, and two, the media. The same media who stood in front of burning cars and burning buildings and said, mostly peaceful protests. And these BLM people, these Antifa people, their age range is what? Teenagers, 16 to 20s and 30s and such. And I could also bring up that statistic about, a certain population doing half of the country's crime. So a quick aside, I wanted to make a video about this lone woman who was swarmed and brutally attacked by dozens of people, teens, in Chicago. Now I noticed something about the teens who swarmed this woman versus the woman. So, can you spot it? In summary, do I think this 84-year-old man's racist? No. It's a tragedy what happened to the kid, but you look at the climate in the States, aka the mostly peaceful protests, I can understand why that 84-year-old man was scared for his life. So if I had to blame someone, I would blame the media. Because in my opinion, the media and the politicians They just throw fuel on the fire. Anyway, that's it for my little ramble. Take care.